Should we say that the day we're recording this, Sophie's guest episode of another podcast, Just the Zoo of Us, came out, and I am extremely personally offended because she said one mean thing about whales, and it was a direct attack on me specifically.
Sorry, did you say something? I'm not really listening to you guys now that I'm
Oh my god!
super famous podcaster.
Wow.
Now that I'm the most famous podcaster on this podcast.
Oh my god.
I mean, you always had the most Twitter followers, so...
Yeah, I've sort of been just like out of both of your leagues this whole time.
That's so rude.
I actually told Ellen that neither of you were allowed to be on the podcast.
What?
Because I sort of wanted to just stay the most famous one.
Oh, how dare you?
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Midlight Crisis, a real podcast hosted by three grown-up biologists revisiting books from our teens, and it's totally cool. I am one of your hosts, Sophie, the extremely famous podcaster. But you don't have to call me that today only.
I'll never
because
call you that.
every other day you do.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But no, today I have a randomly generated fantasy name, and it is it's Art Boo, both winner.
Oh, that's nice.
Art Blue?
Art Boo.
Art Boo.
Boo. Yep, both winner. Everyone can be a winner here. I give out a lot of participation trophies.
You are a millennial.
Yeah. I expect them.
Mm-hmm.
What about you guys? There's nothing really more to say about my name. That's just what it is. Normally I think we joke around for longer, but that's okay. Who are you guys?
My name's Sam, but my fantasy name of the day is... I don't know how to pronounce this. Evilba Haytold?
Sorry?
I don't know how to say it. It's EVALBA.
Evilba.
Evilba? Evilba?
Yeah,
Evilba.
We have the same weird end to a first name. Art Boo and Evilba.
Evilba Haytold. Yeah.
What's your last name?
What's your last name?
Haytold.
Haytold.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah.
That's
Sounds
Haytold
right.
to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I am Hannah, and our random fantasy name generator really came for me specifically
Okay.
also today, because my name is Larari Saint Booker.
What?
Whoa. Arari?
Larari.
Yep.
Larari Saint Booker.
Wow. Wow, those are your least favorite series of letters to pronounce.
That does not sound fun.
Extremely difficult for me and my specific tongue configuration.
Yeah. Saint Booker?
Saint Booker.
Wow. That's a good last name.
Yeah.
That sounds like a real one.
That sounds like a good one. I go by Saint because I don't want to have to introduce myself as Larari to everybody I come across.
Yeah.
There.
Please call me Saint Booker. It's actually
Please.
easier
It's
than the first name.
I can't introduce myself to you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I'll write it down and you just sort of pronounce it however you want. So we're reading 2 more chapters of Aragon this week. Shockingly very close to the end of Aragon.
Somehow.
We were looking at our calendar and we're like, wait a minute, there's only 3 episodes left. That means there's only like 6 chapters.
How can they possibly have a climax and a resolution?
Like at
There
this
will.
point,
There's none.
They should be starting the war or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't they gonna fight the Razak at some point? I thought that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Guess we'll wait till book 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've just sort of crossed back and forth through the entire spine in like a couple sentences, so I guess a lot is gonna happen in the next 6 chapters.
Well.
True.
Anyway, we'll talk about that at the end, I guess.
Probably.
What we think will happen next. But before that, how about you guys tell us what happened in the 2 chapters we read this week?
Well, chapter 53 was called Bless the Child Argetlam. How do I say that? Because I have to say it again.
I
Is it
think it's Argetlam. Hold on, let me
Yeah.
pull up the
Argetlam?
Aragon pronunciation guide.
Oh yeah, I
I think
forgot
it's
that
a
you
hard
had
g.
that.
A hard g.
Argetlam?
Argetlam. Argetlam. Words and phrases
Argetlam.
probably. Argetlam.
That's what
Argetlam.
I
We're
think
just
it
gonna go
is.
with Argetlam.
It's not on the Paolini.net audio pronunciation guide for some reason.
The Irish word, spelled the exact same way,
Oh.
is pronounced Argidlam.
Argetlam?
Argidlam.
Argetlam?
Like
All
the
right,
end
well,
is like a WV, is how they say it.
okay, well, I'm just gonna say it different every time I say it.
Just
probably.
say it however
so
you
let's just
feel.
go into the summary, shall we? Which,
Yep.
This was a very hard chapter to summarize because it was just kind of very all over the place. But we start off with Auric leading Aragon and Saphira to the dragon hold so Saphira can rest. Then Auric and Aragon get some food. We learn a little bit more about the dwarf history and that even though the city is actually mostly empty, Trojaheim was built large enough to hold every dwarf in Allegasia, which has only occurred in history 3 times. That was a fun fact I thought I should include. Anyways, once they finish eating, Aragon heads back to Saphira, but is stopped by a crowd of people, and one lady called him Argetlam, which is an elven word for silver hand, which means dragon rider. And she asks Aragon to bless her baby, which Saphira and Aragon both bless the baby, and then they go for a fly in the sky. And then they head back to their new fancy cave that has a bed for Aragon and lots of space for Saphira.
Got it. In Mandrake Root and Newt'S tongue, Aragon wakes up to see, of all people, Solumbum the werecat, just like sitting in front of him. Solumbum leads Aragon through Trondheim to an apartment full of plants and curios, and as you can probably guess, Angela is there. She and Aragon have a long chat about what's happened since they met. Aragon tells her that Brahm died, and she reveals that the reason his fate was kind of a joke is that he was destined to fail at everything he did, bar one, which was killing Morzan. She says that she came to the Varden because she likes to be where the action is, and tells Aragon about how shades are made by an evil spirit possessing a sorcerer. She's also wary of Murtagh and thoroughly unimpressed by the magic users in Trondheim, and then she abruptly tells Aragon to go away because her potion is about to boil.
We're just such a mood.
It's so good.
We just fucking called that though.
We did.
Yeah,
Like,
we
I don't
did.
think any of us actually believed Angela would show up in the next chapter,
No.
but we were like, man, that sounds like a witch thing, that chapter title. Maybe Angela will be there.
Maybe Angela.
And then she is.
There she
And then
was.
she is. She's just there.
Wow. Incredible.
And once again, she is like far and away the best character in this book.
Yeah,
But I guess
so
we'll
fun.
get to that.
We'll get to that.
First, we have to talk about Trondheim, which
Yep.
Trondheim?
so like the Dragon Hold in the city of Trondheim is at the top and is like open to the sky, but Trondheim is inside the hollow mountain of Farthendur. So it's not the sky, it's just the inside of the mountain, right?
No, I
No?
think Trondheim is like, because when they first described it in the previous chapters, it was like inside the crater, the volcanic crater. So I think it's open to the sky, but that was the sky that we talked about being like into the stratosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, like Farthendur is the name of the mountain that the crater is in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like miles and miles and miles and miles across.
Yeah.
And then Trondheim is in the middle of it. So it's outside. The whole place is outside.
The whole place is
Technically.
outside, but it's inside a
Like it's
mountain.
in the crater, yeah.
Yeah. It's all
Yeah.
very confusing.
I was having a really difficult time with the
scale.
yeah.
Yeah. The part that confused me is that when they talk about going to the dragon hold, like, oh, the dragon hold doesn't have a roof. And then Aragon's like, won't it be cold and damp without a roof? And Auric's like, actually, Farthendur protects us from the elements.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't rain or snow in here. But as was established previously, it's like open to the sky. So the first thing I thought was like, shouldn't it rain down into the mountain? But I looked it up, and clouds don't form that high, like rain clouds, because as we established, the mountain peak goes up like 63,000 feet or 19,000 meters,
It's so big.
which is so high. Again,
So high.
well above most clouds. um, so like rain clouds wouldn't be able to like pass over the mountain and then rain in, or I guess snow wouldn't happen. But I don't know if you've ever heard of the vehicle assembly building, the NASA vehicle assembly building in Florida, but
No.
it's like the biggest single room building at 160 meters tall or 525 feet tall, and that's like one room.
Jeez.
Like there's no
Wow.
floors. It's just the one room because it's where they make like rockets and stuff.
Cool.
But it has its own weather
Oh, what?
inside.
It has its own weather inside?
What?
Yeah. So like
How?
if it's really, really humid, like little rain clouds will form.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. And so they have to like run air conditioning or like dehumidifiers. Like it's like 10,000 tons of
Oh my god.
air conditioning.
Oh my god.
Anyway, so what I'm saying is that Farthendur should probably still have rain because rain clouds could form in it. I would believe that maybe it's like warm because it's a volcano. Like maybe it's not.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just like dormant or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it would still be warm, that there wouldn't be snow, but I think it would still rain. That's my opinion.
That's interesting because one of the issues I had, and I'm jumping ahead a bit, but it's relevant to this conversation, so I'm just gonna pop it in here,
Yeah.
or I was thinking that being inside basically an inverted cone, the air should be reasonably stagnant, which I was thinking should make it harder for Saphira to fly because I like can't imagine that she flies solely due to her own strength. Like she must make use of like thermals and wind and stuff like that. But she doesn't seem to have any issues flying in here, and maybe it's because Farthendur generates its own weather.
I
Maybe.
guess like the distance she has to go probably isn't far enough that,
True.
right, like most birds, well, birds, I guess,
Birds like Saphira.
different. Birds like Saphira. They'll use thermals and stuff for like gliding long distances
Right.
to lift them up. So like if she's just doing a short hop into the
That's
mountain
true.
inside the other mountain,
Oh my god.
maybe she can just flap.
She does flap super hard at one point.
Yeah. Because also there isn't like a ton of places to go that isn't just walking, right? Because she can't
Yeah.
get out of the mountain from the top.
Yeah, she's kind of stuck in there, eh?
Yeah, she can't fly 12 miles, which is how tall the inside of the mountain is.
Straight up
Yeah, into the stratosphere.
into the stratosphere. Boil your vitreous fluid in your eyes. It'll be
Yeah.
fine.
She's gonna fly to the moon and then come back down. It's a weird time. It's hard to just like understand anything that big, and obviously I don't know anything about like physics or climate.
Yeah.
So
Nothing.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, moving on. There's a bunch of stuff about dwarf history. I don't have anything to say about it. Do either of you have anything to say about it?
No.
not really.
It was just very like reminiscent of, again, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
But I've also just watched the like 2 episodes of Rings of Power that came out, and they
Oh.
like feature the dwarfs heavily, and it was just all very like, okay, been there, done that when I was reading it. So I don't know, nothing captured my attention.
The only notable thing to me is the fact that like Trondheim is their largest city and most of the time it's empty, which Sam touched on
Yeah.
already, and like I feel like at some point that's going to come up just because it was so
I
explicitly being
also
like,
feel that.
all of the dwarves in the world could fit in this city, but that's only happened 3 times before, and it's like, okay, it's gonna happen.
So it's gonna happen before the
Yeah.
end of this book for
Before-
sure.
I don't think there's enough time for it to happen before the end of this book, but before the end of the 4th book, or yeah, there's 4 books in this
Yeah, for
series,
sure.
right? Yeah, and it's gonna be some like Helm's Deep action going
Hmm.
on where they all like flee to it, and then there's gonna be a giant battle outside of it. 100%.
Wow.
Foreshadowing.
Galbatorix is gonna like fly over the mountain somehow, even though his entire body would crumble into dust if he tried.
We don't know
Yeah.
physics in Alagasia. It's fine.
It's true. They have different physics there.
Yeah, or the Rizak will do it.
Oh yeah, the
Somehow.
Rizak will
Oh,
do it.
yes. Or the Shade, because he's kind of like invincible, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting question.
What's funny to me is that they're like, wow, Trondheim can fit every dwarf in Alagasia. Also, weirdly, most of Trondheim is deserted right now. It seems like a waste of space. It's like,
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, probably most of Trondheim is deserted because you need it to be so that it can fit everybody.
So it can fit, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Weird how those
Yeah.
two things are totally disconnected anyway.
So weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they like talk about how the dwarves have, you know, tunneled under most of the Bior Mountains.
Oh yeah.
It's weird because again, with the scale of things, like
Yeah.
how many dwarves are there and how big is Trondheim again? Like
Yeah,
really
Trondheim
all
is
of them?
massive.
Yeah.
Auric did say that Trondheim took 3 full dwarvish generations to build,
True.
which is also wild to me.
Also
So I guess
wild.
these like tunnels that they've been tunneling throughout the Bior Mountains have probably been the work of like millennia.
Yeah.
And dwarves are just the like epitome of the man thing of dig big hole.
What's the man thing of dig big hole?
Just I feel like I've seen it on Twitter a lot recently. It's just men love
yeah.
to dig a hole.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah, because they say that they live longer, much longer than men.
Yeah,
Which
because everyone always does in fantasy.
Yeah, and I guess I just never really understand because in, you know, classic fantasy, it's always like, wow, dwarves and elves, they live way longer than humans, and it's like, but like, do elves live way longer than dwarves, or are they sort of like the same, or and are we
Oh, I
talking
know
like
this.
hundreds of years, or
Elves live longer.
Do they?
I don't know. That's at least what it is in Lord of the Rings.
I assume that's transferable.
Yeah, I can't spoil the show, but there's like a scene where a dwarf gets mad at an elf for like this exact situation because elves like time is like meaningless to them, right? So like 20-40 years is nothing to them, and the dwarf is like, you've missed 20 years of my life, and it's like, oh. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's elves.
that's sad.
Yeah,
that
so
is
like
sad.
dwarves are long lived, but nothing compared to elves. Like, I guess it depends on what fantasy world you're referencing, but considering the close relationships between Alagasia and Middle Earth, I'm going to assume that the elves can live to thousands of years and the dwarves probably to hundreds.
Okay,
That sounds right.
it does.
Yeah.
Elves will live forever unless something kills them. Dwarves will just live a really long time.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah.
I buy it. Well, do you know what else is in Trondheim?
Uh-huh.
4,000 humans.
Ooh,
Oh,
Uh-huh.
yes.
exciting.
Yeah, Aragon seems to think that that's not very many people who have like fled the Empire to join the Verdun, which I guess it's not that many, but also they did have to walk across the entire desert to find the Verdun.
Yes.
But I guess maybe people can be recruited for the Verdun before walking across the desert.
Yeah, also Angela seemed to get there pretty easily.
Yeah, but Angela is not like the other girls.
What other girls? So far there's been no other girls.
Arya?
She's an
Arya?
elf.
Oh, she's an elf, not a girl.
It's-
Oh, we're
different.
going on that
That's different.
technicality again.
I swear to God, if they start referring to each other as males and females, I'm gonna lose my shit.
That's only in the teen version.
Ugh.
But yeah, the only other girl is Saphira, who's also technically not
Who's
a girl.
also not a girl. She's a female.
Female.
Well, I don't think they've ever actually talked to each other. But then, if we don't count Saphira as a girl or Arya as a girl, and Angela's the only human girl, this book fails very hard.
The
Yeah,
Bechdel test.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's not. It wasn't
even
doing
close.
well for itself to begin with. But if we're gonna make that technicality, it's even worse.
I don't think any of them have spoken to each other, have they?
I was gonna
I
say,
don't
even if they do
know.
talk to each other, they're guaranteed talking about Aragon. So
Yeah.
Oh,
still
100%.
talking about
Yeah,
a
that's
boy.
true. Damn it.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, sorry. Just a little side thing there.
Yeah. Well, and is
Uh,
Angela even human? Like, we'll get to her, but she is a mysterious lady. I don't know if
That's
she's
fair.
actually human or not.
Who knows?
Who knows? She's a bog witch.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, is it's separate species, apparently.
Yeah. Aspirational.
Aspirational, yeah.
They also say there's only enough sunlight in Trondheim for moss, mushrooms, and mold, which I would argue only one of those things needs sunlight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Maybe that's the point.
preferably, yeah, preferably not a lot. Maybe that's the joke he's making.
Yeah, I think that's the point, is there's only enough sun to grow things that don't want to be in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Like dwarves.
Like dwarves.
Dwarves.
See, because like, that's the mountain. Back to this. The mountain is basically at the ozone layer. So would the sun coming through the mountain be
Oh,
like
God.
more
Oh.
bright? Like, is it a
I
hole
never
in the
even thought
ozone
of
layer?
that. They'd get like so much UV damage.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Also, like, oxygen. Can they get enough oxygen if it doesn't
Yeah,
have like?
where's the air coming from?
I mean, I guess technically there are doors and tunnels.
But if they're like sealed and hidden most of the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe Trondheim doesn't look that good. They're all just like slightly
Yeah,
oxygen deprived.
They're all
well,
a
they've got to be
little
vitamin
hypoxic.
D deficient at least.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Or overdosing.
Or
Yeah,
that.
depending.
Yeah, depending
Being
on where.
blasted.
You have to assume, since the dwarves live underground and like spend most of their lives underground, that they have an extremely vitamin D efficient diet.
They would have to.
They're all extremely pale, so that if they happen to go in the sun, they get all of the vitamin D.
Yeah, but like
Super
if
sunburn.
their only
Uh-huh.
access to sun is like through an ozone depleted region, like they would be sunburned within seconds, wouldn't they?
That's why they all have so much hair, is to cover them
Ah!
Cover it up, yeah.
That's not a bad theory.
Yeah, dwarves are hyper efficient in their vitamin D uptake,
Uh-huh.
but all the humans who live here are just like so sickly looking.
They all have seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why when Aragon's walking around, all of the humans look so like listless and
Yeah.
stringy, because none of them have seen the sun and they're all
Yeah.
just depressed.
Dwarves actually only live like 80 years, but they're like, wow, we live so much longer than
It's
humans.
so long.
Because all the
Oh, no.
humans die at like 25 and farther endure. Whoops.
Jeez. This book is gruesome.
We're making it gruesome.
Well, we can go back to some of those techniques Aragon came up with trying to torture people. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's doing
it's
it
not
to
us.
itself. It's not us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, and as we found out, like, throughout this book, Aragon has, like, super skin. Like, even when it all gets rubbed off on Saphir's scales, it's fine within a couple days, and he, like, doesn't get any kind of infection. He's got, like, a super healing body. So, like, maybe people in Allegasia are just really robust.
Yeah. Or I think that's his dragon magic, isn't it?
Listen.
Okay, well, Aragon at least will be fine. He's the main character. He's the only one we care about.
Yeah. He couldn't possibly get an infection from anything.
Yeah.
Definitely not this mold.
Nope.
Or the fact that when he goes down to go take a bath, the tunnels to get into the bathing room are only 5 feet high. So Sophie would fit in there, but Aragon doesn't fit very well.
Hey! I'm 5'5". Thank you very much.
Oh, you could just bend over a little. If
I
you're
would
fine.
be so cramped with my towering 5 extra inches.
It's just very funny to me that it's like, here is a human who needs a bath. Let's take him through these like 5-foot tunnels. There are 4,000 other humans
Yeah.
living here. Do they also all have to crawl through these tunnels to go have a bath? Or is Orc just taking Aragon to like the short people bathroom?
I bet you he's going to like the fancy dwarf baths, but like the humans
Mm.
have to use their own like cold water tubs.
Oh yeah, they have to go out and just bathe in the waterfall.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh. Did either of you find that this bathroom was very reminiscent of The Host, which is, as we all know,
Yes!
Stephanie
Oh
Meyer's best
yeah.
book?
That was my
Uh-huh.
exact thought.
Yeah, right? It's like a dark underground pool that like smells kind of funny, I think.
Mhm.
That's pretty much it, but there's soap in there, which is also what happens in The Host. Somebody
Yeah.
please cut me off before I
Save you.
keep going.
The water's also salty for some reason. I'm
Oh
assuming
yeah.
there's just like minerals or whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't think of The Host. I was just like, oh, Aragon's enjoying his sensory deprivation chamber. Oh my god, why can't I say any of those words? You know, those like float baths? Whatever they call
Yeah.
them?
Oh yeah.
They sound fun.
Oh, yeah, I think that would be really fun to try.
I want
And then I
it.
was wondering, can Aragon ever actually do a separate, oh my god, words, sensory deprivation chamber? Because he's got his mental connection to Saphira,
Mm-hmm.
which I feel like defeats the whole purpose. Anyway, that
Maybe
doesn't
if she
matter.
blocked him out. Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
It seems like, is there a distance on their bond or no?
Yeah, there was, but it was when they were in Tyrum, I think they were kind of stretched to their limit, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
When Aragon was passed out and Brahm flew away on Saphira, he couldn't talk to her.
That's true also.
Right.
The first
okay.
time
Yes.
he got knocked out by the Urgles.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. You know, there's still time. There might be one
There's
more.
still yeah, the Urgles are all like hanging out right outside, so
Yep.
they're probably gonna get in there and knock him across the head again.
Yeah. And then Aragon finally gets a new shirt.
Uh-huh. Which is linen?
Yeah.
I don't know why that threw me off, but the idea of Aragon in like a Cuban Miami linen shirt, I was like,
You're like, uh-huh.
okay. Very stylish.
People use linen for like clothing that isn't that.
Yeah, that was my immediate mental image.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Just like the deep open V.
Yeah, the wide collar, the like
Yeah.
square pockets.
He's got a gold chain for a necklace now.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
It's got a dragon tooth on it.
Sam's been watching a lot of Love Island, and I feel like he would
Oh,
fit
God.
right in.
Oh no.
And his linen shirt.
Yeah.
Well, his body did get hard and muscular.
No.
So
Oh no. We're not doing this. No.
We're
No.
not
No. 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 No.
okay, fine. We're not doing that. Can we talk about the slide?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aragon wonders how people from like the top of Trondheim can communicate with people lower down and vice versa. And Auric explains that there's a very tight spiral staircase that goes like all the way up the whole middle of Trondheim, but like it takes a really long time to go up and down all those stairs, so they mostly use like flashing light signals. And also there is a slide.
I
No.
love the slide.
I love the slide.
Oh, I love the slide.
There's just a slide that goes all the way from the top of the mountain to the bottom. I think it like circles around the spiral staircase too, so it's
Yeah.
like a corkscrew slide.
And like it's not when they first described it, I thought like, oh, it's like a tube. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, it's
No,
not
it's-
a tube. It's a slide with open sides, and if you're human sized, you will fall off the side.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
super dangerous for someone of Aragon's size, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get flung off the side and hit the wall.
Or the stairs, like, oh my
The
god.
stairs.
Just like what do you like do dwarves not do that? Like they aren't that much shorter than humans.
I assume dwarves are, like, very dense and heavy, and maybe their gravity,
Oh.
like, keeps them in the slide.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they're just better at slides.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
Well, they carved this one, and they're really
Right.
good at carving, so they probably carved it to be a perfect dwarf slide.
Yeah, I love because when they were like, oh, how do you talk so quickly? And they're like, oh, we figured it out. And I thought they were going to be like, there's a mechanism in the mountain that, because
Yeah.
dwarves are also supposed to be like, technology.
Yeah.
Not these ones.
Nope.
Nope.
These ones made a slide.
These ones made a slide. Okay, they also use flashing lanterns,
Yeah.
but the slide is
There's
great.
a slide.
Oh,
I
that's
hope
great.
Aragon goes down the slide.
Oh my god, I thought he was gonna have to go down it like immediately in the next
Yeah, me
chapter
too.
because he notices it, and I was like, it's the time. But
This
then,
is, yeah.
yeah, he goes somewhere else.
It's like the, all of the dwarves can fit in Tronchim, and it would be super dangerous for you to go down the slide.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's immediately move on. It's like,
Anyway, neither of those things are gonna happen.
Is this foreshadowing?
Yeah.
So much
It's gonna be
foreshadowing
so fun
with
when
no
Aragon
payoff
slides
in this
down
book.
the slide.
There is no payoff in this book. Has anything that
No.
has been foreshadowed
No, he's not going to
happened?
slide down
I guess
until the
Brom
end
died.
of book 3. I call it.
Ah!
That's gonna be so rude.
That's what's going to
It's
happen.
gonna be worth it.
Will it?
No.
Questionable.
Okay. We gotta talk about the next part now.
Okay.
Aragon has to bless a baby.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Oric tries to get him out of there because, like, they walk outside, Saphira arrives, and then everyone starts to, like, cluster around, and Oric's like, get out, don't be here anymore. And then an old lady who's stronger than a dragon and a dragon rider grabs
Yeah, what the heck?
Aragon's leg
Yeah.
and won't let go, and he can't get away.
A mother's love.
Yeah,
It's her power.
so
It's not even her baby. It's just
Yeah.
like a baby.
a baby.
She says the baby's parents are dead, and the only one
Oh,
who will take care
right.
of the baby is this old lady. I was like, there are 3,998 other Varden here. Like, surely one of them could take care
Surely
of this
some
baby.
them. Yeah.
But I guess it's just this one lady.
I want to talk about what a blessing is in this world
Yeah.
with no religion.
Go for it.
Wow.
Because we know all about that.
Because a blessing, the definition of a blessing is literally to infuse something with holiness or divine power.
Yeah.
What god?
Dragon riders are the gods, Sophie.
Yeah, magic is God.
Are they
Magic is
divinities?
God. I mean, I would assume they're like something of a divinity to the normal people. Right? Like it's
mean-
kind of probably seen like a miracle to them.
That's not like the sense that people give off, though, you know?
I know.
No, yeah. Well, and Aragon is talking about how a blessing is like such a huge deal in Allegasia. And like,
Yeah.
oh my god, he can't possibly screw it up. And then he's like, oh, what if I do the blessing in the magic language? And I was like, wait, so that's not even what you were thinking of when you were like, ooh, the responsibility.
Yeah. And like, well, again, how is it a big deal? What's the
Yeah,
deal about?
Is there just like some kind of latent magic in all of Allegasia that kind of like pushes things slightly more than you would expect by chance or something? Because like there is a little bit of talk of fate and things like that in this chapter. So like I guess I could maybe buy that there is some kind of native magic to the land that like if you bless
Speak
somebody or like say
things,
something over
yeah.
them with the intent of it actually having meaning, that it does kind of put some kind of influence into the world.
Yeah, like that would make sense for pretty much everything we've seen so far. You know, like it's
Yeah.
not that there is a divine or like a religion, but people understand that magic is a thing. And
Mhm.
so it's sort of like the trickster versus like the things going your way. You'll be like, okay, well, don't say anything because it could be taken the wrong way, or like it could go wrong. And I guess that makes sense. But because I was also going to bring up that Saphira later says, like, Aragon, your word demands that, you know, this is your life, and word WYRD, meaning like his fate.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you think like fate is a thing, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I just don't
Yep.
think Pellini put that much thought into it.
No.
I think he just forgot that he had to define his religions, you know?
Yeah, I think he was raised in a society where Christianity is the default, and it didn't occur
Yes.
to him that that wouldn't be the case in Allegasia.
Exactly. And so his default is just default fantasy religion.
Mhm.
Well, because like a word is very, very pagan.
Yes. That is
In
true.
like the religions that like the language groups he pulls from for the language, like word is from that, right? Old Norse.
Yeah.
And so part of me is like, maybe instead of assuming Christianity, he's assuming paganism, like because this is like a medieval or like pre-medieval society, right? And it's like maybe it's just a pagan society, but then he didn't like fully flesh it out yet when he was writing this book. Maybe he fleshes it out later.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Could be
but that's what like I would buy, is like there's definitely like some underlying religion, but he's just assuming that the reader knows what that is, right? Like he's not going into the depths of it that like a lot of world building like high fantasy novels do. Like a lot of the time people will read high fantasy for like the religion world building alone, and I think he's just kind of like whoop, just letting it slide.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily feel like, you can usually tell when someone has like a fully fleshed out world, and they only give you tidbits instead of like just info dumping it all. This doesn't necessarily feel like there is something that is there, you know?
No, it's just
it's like a placeholder.
Like just kind of assume, right? Because he probably didn't think anyone would be reading his book in like so much detail to question whether or not, you have a blessing, but there's no religion. You have churches, but no what?
You have death rituals for some reason,
but no God?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine who would want to do something like that.
Who would want to do that?
Anyway.
Should I read what the blessing is that he gives this child once he decides he's going to give her, like, a true blessing with words of power in the ancient language?
Yeah, I was hoping you had translated them.
I'm like, are you going to read that in Elvish or whatever the language
so
is?
what he says is... Atra gulai un ilian tauther ono un atra ono weiss scholier for Routher, which means, let luck and happiness follow you, and may you be shielded from misfortune. Which is a very nice thing to say to somebody.
Nice. Yeah.
And I'm sure nothing can go wrong.
Yeah. And then she also gets a bonus Saphira smooch on her forehead.
Yeah, I'm envious of that. I want a Saphira smooch.
And she gets some kind of magic star.
Yeah, silver star-shaped mark on her forehead. That is definitely different from the Harry Potter
dragon, which is divinity. Different.
Does this kid come back in the series?
Yeah, she does.
Okay. I was like, because it would be absolutely wild if she doesn't.
I know, right? They spend a lot of time with like Aragon thinking about her after this.
Yeah.
Well, I guess during this scene.
Yeah, because Aragon's having some hella imposter syndrome.
Yep. I have in my notes, at least he's aware that he has no wisdom.
Yeah, that's good.
You know?
Finally.
Yeah, right? And then Saphira, like the preteen that she is, says, well, I am younger than you in years, but I am ancient in my thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like, she's so mature, you guys.
Saphira's the real teen.
Saphira is like a 13-year-old. It's like, well, I'm just like really mature for my age. I'm super smart.
I'm so smart. Wouldn't it be fun if that had repercussions? Like,
I mean, spoiler, it super does.
Wow, okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like that because Aragon's being like, wow, I can't believe people are asking me for blessings and I'm like 16. And how could anything that I give them, like, what can I tell them that they don't already know? And Saphira's basically like, my guy, you just gotta learn to delegate. And he's like, oh.
It's so true.
Yeah. Like, she's like, oh, people already know what to do. You just have to make them understand that they know, you know? Like, she's like, basically just be a symbol, a figurehead. You don't actually have to do anything.
Yeah, she says every age needs an icon.
Yeah.
So basically Aragon is now an influencer.
Wow. Love
the
that
only
for
one.
him.
The only one.
The only one. The first one.
The first
Allegajagram.
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, that was a bad one. We all know I love a good portmanteau, but that was not a good one.
No, that one, not your best work.
Not my best work.
Yeah, anyway, then they go up to sleep in the dragon hold with this giant sapphire.
Yep. I love how Aragon's response is immediately to like lie down on the gem and press his face to it and try to see through it. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I also went up the CN Tower when I was a kid and immediately lay face down on the glass floor up there.
Oh
Like,
my
that's
God,
exactly
you
what I would
did?
do. Yeah.
Damn, the
Oh, I
bold of you.
cried. I was so scared.
I think my brothers did it first, to be fair. And then
That's
they
fair.
did it, and I was older, so I had to do it too.
Yeah,
I couldn't
No,
let
I
them get
still
away with
cried.
that.
that makes sense.
Anyway. Yeah, Aragon lies face down on the floor and tries to see through it, and Saphira gets in her gigantic dog bed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess before she does that, she jumps 20 feet straight up in the air.
Yeah.
Which I was like, whoa, that's pretty high. And
That's
then
really high.
I did some dragon math
Oh.
on it. Assuming, again, that Saphira is 45 feet tall at the shoulder, like we calculated that one time.
I need to redo that math. That can't be right.
By all means, Sophie, go for it.
I need your comparative measurements from the cover.
Anyway, if we assume that I was correct and she is the height of 2.5 giraffes, that means she can vertically jump about half of her body height, which if you put it like that is like, I thought was slightly less impressive. But it turns out the vast majority of people, including like NBA players, cannot jump half their body height. So it is kind of impressive. Except I did come across this guy. He's like a French guy with no Wikipedia page named Kadour Ziani, who has the world record vertical leap. He's 5'10", which is like 178 centimeters, and he jumped 56 inches, which is the equivalent of 142 centimeters, just like straight up,
Oh my
which
God.
means he jumped
How?
80% of his own height.
Holy
What
cow.
the hell? What the hell?
Oh
Who
my
does that?
God.
Wait,
Does he have like cricket legs?
do high jumpers not have like higher than average?
Like, high jumping is not exactly a vertical leap.
Right, I guess.
There's
yeah.
like a technique to it. Like this guy, I'm assuming, like knelt down, powered himself up, and like shot straight up.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, and even like the average vertical leap of an NBA player, the average vertical leap is 71 centimeters of those guys,
Dang.
which is very high. But those guys are also extremely tall, so like proportionately it's not that high.
Yeah. But hypothetically, if she takes off like a
like a
Astarkid
bird.
pterosaur,
Yeah.
in theory they can also jump very high compared
When
to
she
their
does
body.
earlier in
So-
the chapter, she takes off by jumping straight up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it could be something they're like evolved to with mad hops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate. I feel like in this chapter we've confirmed that they
They got mad hops.
have mad hops.
Yeah. Yeah, then they go to sleep because it's the end of the chapter.
Because it's the end of the chapter. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, there's this nice chapter or paragraph where Saphira just summarizes everything we've learned about the Varden.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And she's like,
Yeah.
so here's what each faction of people within the Varden and outside the Empire thinks of you. Anyway, good night. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
If
Cool.
your eyes glossed over for the last 3 chapters, here's what you need to know.
Uh-huh.
TLDR.
And then the next chapter is called Mandrake Root and Newt's Tongue. But as we've had before, my ebook formatted it a little weird.
Oh no.
So this chapter is actually called Mandrake Root, which sounds like something that came out of our fantasy name generator.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the whole chapter with Angela. It's so great. I love Angela.
She's so good.
I love that at the beginning of this chapter is when Aragon just like remembers Murtagh exists.
Yeah.
He has left. Like, I have been so worried about poor Mortag, and Aragon does not care about his friend.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
He like didn't even think about him while he was having like a nice long bath, eating dinner.
It's making
It's
me so mad because
It's like the
again,
next
he's the
morning.
reason Murtagh is stuck here. Like it's
Yeah.
all his fault. And he's just like, oh yeah, my friends are imprisoned in a freaking cell or something. Like,
My favorite is that sentence where he's like, "Oh yeah, Murtagh." It's like he's like, "Wow," knowing that intentionally or not, he had led
Yeah.
Murtagh to his imprisonment. I was like, "You
intentionally or
super
not.
It
intentionally
was so
did."
intentional.
Murtagh
Oh
told
my-
you like 40 times that he could not go to the bar.
Oh my god.
I was like, "You kid."
He's so. I love how like he wakes up and he feels happy, and then he thinks of Murtagh and is immediately unhappy. It's
Yeah.
okay, fucking great.
like,
Uh,
I don't understand why he's not doing more to try to like get Murtagh out. It's like
Yeah,
I don't know, if that was like my best friend stuck in a cell, I'd be like, screw learning about all this stuff. Like, I need to get him out. You're
Yeah.
plotting. You're figuring out how to escape. Like, get out.
yeah, oh my god.
Ugh.
For like a main character, Aragon doesn't really have like friend loyalty,
No.
no.
which
I
normally
promise if
is
either
like,
of you got captured, I would try to get you out. Jeez.
well, I
Thanks.
don't know. If you had just said you were the son of Morzan,
That's true.
maybe I wouldn't.
No, I
That'd be
still
like
will.
if you said your dad was Donald Trump.
Oh.
Ugh.
but it's me.
Yeah.
Haven't I
That's
fair.
proven myself?
I would definitely eat dinner and then have a bath and then come looking for you because
Yeah.
I'm a main character.
I would eat dinner and have a bath and then go hang out with a cool witch in an apartment full of plants.
Yeah. And be
And
like,
then-
dang, guess I should do something about this after.
No, see, I would
I'll get
pull
to
Selena Sardathian, and I would just go
Yeah.
feral and destroy everything
That's
until I
fair.
got my friends back.
Wow.
That's
why
why
you're
you
the
have a
main
lot of
character.
daggers. Yeah.
There's so many daggers, you guys. Oh my god.
Yes, and many died.
This is why Sam is the YA protagonist and Hannah
Yeah.
and I are like the adult novel protagonists.
Yeah.
That's a good
I'm full of
comparison.
ennui and Sam is full of righteous indignation.
Yeah, Hannah's one of the protagonists of a Friedrich Bachmann novel.
Yeah. Just like a complicated and vaguely shitty person who has a lot of small things going on in my life.
And then I'm the protagonist of a Sarah J. Maas novel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then was Sophie a protagonist of?
Probably a nonfiction.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. A
A
dinosaur
book about a naturalist.
or a book
Yeah.
about language.
I'm just sitting in the background of a nonfiction book about like
Yeah.
invertebrates.
There we go. We found it.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, now that we've decided what books were all the protagonists of,
Yeah.
Actually, I'm changing my mind. Sophia's just Angela.
oh no,
She's a mysterious witch with a cat.
Accurate.
I don't want to live in a city or a cave. I want to be a bog witch.
to.
Yeah, Angela like figures out that Aragon is, I don't know, the main character. So she decides to go to the Varden because she assumes he'll go there next. She
Mhm.
hears that there's a dragon rider and she's like, somebody's a dragon rider. I'm gonna go to the Varden to meet the new dragon rider. And then she's like, I knew it was you.
Uh-huh.
Essentially.
I mean, she is the one who looked at his fortune and was like, wow, your life is going to be extremely long and extremely dangerous. Like, who else
Yeah.
could possibly be a dragon rider?
Yeah.
Like, great detective work there, Ange.
Yeah. Also, Aragon's like, yeah, so like you made fun of Brahm and now he's dead.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, that was kind of in poor taste, I guess.
I like how she's like, oh yeah, sorry about that, but also I was right.
Yeah, but also,
It's
was
like-
I wrong?
Was I wrong?
Do you think she's the one that Brahm was in love with?
Oh, maybe.
No.
So she mentions that Brahm was destined to fail at all of his tasks except one, and the one he didn't fail at was killing Morzan. Good job.
Mhm.
But one of the things she mentions is that he loved a woman, but it was his affection that was her undoing.
I
And I-
assumed he was in love with Aragon's mother.
That's what I
Oh.
literally just thought also.
Oh,
Maybe.
sorry.
Yeah. No, as you were like right before you said it, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like I didn't.
Connected a dot here.
Yeah.
Angela did not even cross my mind. I like that theory, but
Uh-huh.
I'm almost certain it's Aragon's mother.
Well, there's no
Yeah.
other women. Like,
No, exactly.
like if he's trying to be mysterious, it's like, okay, so there's 3 options, and it's Angela, Arya, and Selena. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it could be Arya. That would be hilarious.
Oh
That's
my
some
God.
like Game of Thrones shit. I mean,
Well, 'cause-
actually, yeah.
Not really, because like Arya's an elf. She could be much older than Brahm, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
could be like an Aragorn Arwen thing going on there, and then Braum's dragon died and he left the Dragon Riders, and then Aragon fell in love with his cranky old teacher's ex-girlfriend.
That's funny.
That would be so good. I hope it's that.
I take it back. I like that now.
But everyone agrees that the worst part about the prequels was how much older Amidala was.
Yeah.
Padme was. Sorry,
Yeah.
in the Star Wars prequels. So
Yeah.
I don't think
But-
Arya should be like way older than
But
Aragon.
it happens all the time.
Sophie, we just
in...
read Twilight.
Yeah, and it happens all the time in like Fae-based books. You get the Fae who's like 500 years old, and the girl is 19 years old.
I hate it.
I guess that's a good point.
At
So,
least
like-
in Star Wars, the age gap was only 5 years.
Yeah, like I don't know.
It's
I
still
don't.
weird, but
I almost kind of like would prefer it being opposite for once, like the
yeah.
woman being like 500, 600 years old, and the male being like 19. I still feel weird about it being 16, 15. I'm like,
Yeah, 16
Yeah,
is weird.
I had trouble having that come out of my mouth.
It's a little unpleasant.
It's still kind of unpleasant thinking about these books because and like I'm guilty of it. Some of my favorite books, the protagonist is 19, and then the male love interest is like 500 years old.
I guess
So-
I do read those ones too. Maybe I'm also a hypocrite. I feel like it's just weird when they know them from
Yeah.
when they're like underage
Yeah, I
it's a
think
and
little
then it
weird.
passes into
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
Jacob Renesmee problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the grooming. That's another conversation.
Although I guess technically that's like a major part of the plot of The Bear and the Nightingale, and I
Is it?
Oh,
like
is it?
those books. I
still haven't
mean,
read that one.
Ew, Sophie, gross.
it's different, okay?
It's different when
See?
you like the
See?
book.
Because it's not when she's a child, and then she actively hunts him down later when he leaves after she's
Uh-huh.
of age. It's
Oh,
different.
well, that's fine then.
It's
okay.
weird when you put it that way. Anyway, I promise you
Yep.
they're good books, and that's not really like a major part of it.
Cool.
Anyway.
I'm
Well-
uncomfortable. Let's move on from that.
Let's
move
on.
Should we talk about how Angela knows things about shades? And
Yeah.
again, something I thought Sophie would be mad about. She says that shades practice the most unholy magic after necromancy. What's so bad about
was-
necromancy?
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know. What's unholy about it?
Yeah. But I feel like summoning an explicitly evil spirit that's going to possess your body and turn you into an immortal, like, demon machine might be worse than animating a corpse.
Also, how is that not necromancy?
It is necromancy. It's just like a subdivision of necromancy.
Unless the spirits aren't
They're not
like
dead people.
ghosts. Are they not dead people?
They're,
that
no,
still
they're demons,
necromancy?
right?
What?
Because they never expressly say that the spirits are dead people ghosts or souls
Yeah.
or whatever. They just say that there are spirits, the spirits have power, and evil spirits possess humans to create shades.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's still some necromancy.
It really just depends.
Maybe, like, it's on a technicality because the spirits were never alive and the host body didn't die yet.
Yeah,
Like, well,
like
technically nobody's undead.
are the
Okay.
spirits the ones that everyone is being religious at? Because that would
Maybe.
make sense.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's sort of a situation where like there are just billions of spirits all over the place, and so you're like, "Ooh, I better like."
Yeah.
This is why the house has little statues with incense all around the house. Like, ooh, the house spirits, gotta placate them or whatever.
That would be a fun system.
Yeah, but
There's been no implication that
There's
it is
been-
that, but like
nope.
it would be good.
that would be cool, huh?
It would be pretty neat.
Would be.
Yeah.
I'm just like so over the trope of like there are things that are evil because they're evil.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, a shade is from an evil spirit, and it's like, why is the spirit evil? Like,
Yeah.
what's its motivation? Like, what is it? Just evil because it wants to be evil? Like, does it want to cause chaos? Like, does it have things it wants to do, or is it literally just like it's evil, so it does things because they're bad because it feels
Yeah.
like it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really bored of that.
I agree.
But think about it. In 2006, was that boring?
I mean, when I was like 14, it wasn't.
That's a great point.
But
Yeah.
now I'm almost 30.
Don't worry, it's fine.
It'll
It'll be okay.
Already.
I turned 31 yesterday.
Oh, you're so old. You're like the crypt keeper. You're
I
2
turned
whole years
30
older
3
than
months
me.
ago, or a month and a half
Shit.
ago.
Yeah. See, Sam's doing fine.
I'm doing great.
Sam spent the entire pre-pro complaining about how her body is broken.
Did
And she's been watching Love Island for like 3 days.
I'm fine.
Sam's fine.
Sam's fine.
There's nothing further to say.
I'm sure you'll also be fine, Hannah. Anyway, my favorite part of these whole 2 chapters is near the end, where Angela is just like talking to Aragon for maybe 5 minutes. Like there's maybe 6 paragraphs of talking, and then she's like, "Ooh, this has been fun. I'm afraid you have to go now. My brew of mandrake root and newt's tongue is about to boil. Go away."
Leave.
Oh my gosh, so impressive.
Like she definitely doesn't have a brew of mandrake root and newt's tongue going, right? She's
Well,
definitely
like
just
she had
No, I
some
think she
stuff
does.
going.
I think she
Yeah.
does.
Aragon like sat down between a couple of cauldrons or something.
true.
He sat on the floor because Angela only owns 1 chair,
Yeah.
thus discouraging anybody from
Anyone
visiting her.
from staying. Yeah.
Also a mood.
Yeah. I do think it's important to mention, apparently there's like a secret group of magic users.
Oh yes.
And I'm sure that's gonna come up
Yeah.
with
They're
Aragon.
led by the evil twins.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason she moved into Dragonhold or whatever is because she didn't want them to find her again.
Yeah.
She was like, I didn't want to join their stupid party.
She says, I threatened to turn the lot of them into toads. Excuse me, frogs.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, a callback.
A callback.
A callback.
You love to see it.
Yeah. Also, Solembum is there. I don't think we mentioned that. That's
We
fun.
did. I think we
Yeah.
did.
We didn't talk about it, but we mentioned it.
He
Yeah.
didn't
I mean, there's
really
not much
do
to talk
anything.
about. He leads Aragon to Angela,
Yeah.
and that's
The
it.
end. Yeah, and Aragon doesn't go to sleep, which is so exciting.
My note says, she tells him to go away, so Reagan does.
Ragan. Bye, Ragan.
Oh, how did I do that?
Nobody's quite sure.
That's not even remotely correct.
Shall we guess what's going to happen next?
Let's guess what's
Yes.
going to happen next.
Okay. The next chapter is called Hall of the Mountain King. And then the chapter after that is called Arya's Test.
Oh. Aragon's going to listen to some banging classical music.
Yeah. That's
Yep.
what it's going to be.
He's gonna go meet Hrothgar the Dwarf King, and Hrothgar's gonna be like, listen to this! Dum 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 dum.
Yeah, really, right? That's what he's going to do? He's going to meet the Dwarf King?
I assume so.
I assume so.
Who else would be the Mountain King? He already met Ajahad.
Yeah. And then, okay, so the other chapter, Arya's Test, I'm guessing it's either Aragon has to do some sort of feat, or maybe Murtagh has to do some sort of feat. I'm guessing that Arya will use her magic to do.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if it is a test that Arya gives to someone, or a test that she has to do to, like, recover from her poison or whatever.
They mention in these chapters somewhere that the twins were, like, the only powerful magic users, especially after Arya disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
I think. And everyone else barely has enough magic to heal Arya. But that's why I think that Arya will have to give the test, because she's the strongest magic user that isn't Aragon, I assume.
That makes sense. But Angela?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Angela seems pretty powerful. She apparently has lived forever, and even the two twins together are afraid of her.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. I assume it's the test that Arya's giving, but I could be wrong. Also, somewhere in these 2 chapters, I guess something's going to happen that indicates maybe the wrap up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe like there's going to be a siege or the Razak.
The
Or
Razak, the Urgles, maybe.
The Shade.
The Urgles are still there.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing. There's nothing. It's leading to nothing. Like, I'm just mad.
Yeah, I'm guessing
I'm just angry.
that at the end of Arya's test, like, I think what's going to happen is that Arya's test chapter is going to be like Aragon or Murtagh having to prove themselves. And then, like, right at the end, there's going to be, like, someone running in being like, oh my god, the Razak are here. They led them right to our door. And
yeah.
And then the final, I guess, stuff will happen in the next couple chapters.
Somehow this book will tie up into a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
Or no, I feel like it has to be like a giant cliffhanger.
An unsatisfying conclusion. Yeah.
I don't see this book ending in a way that I will be happy.
No, I think it wraps up pretty well because I read Aragon a bunch of times and I didn't read the second book. So
oh, really? Okay.
I think it's like enough of a wrap up that you feel a little okay with it.
Okay.
That's my theory.
You know what I bet is going to happen? Aragon is going to have to do some like big magic to repel the Urgles, and then he's going to pass out and the book will end.
Yeah,
maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah, that tracks.
There's no way he could possibly be conscious at the end of this book.
No, he has to pass out at the end of the book. No, he's just gonna go to bed at the end of the book. He'll be like, anyway, wake me up for Brazinger, or whatever the next one is.
Brazinger.
Brazinger.
Yeah. Well, I think we got it.
I think so.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. Yeah, let's talk about what else we're reading. I thought I hadn't read anything since the last recording, but I think technically I read both Fix Her Up and Love Her or Lose Her by Tessa Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really want to talk about them.
I was like shocked you even brought those up. I was like, oh.
They're fine.
Fine.
Okay.
Anyway, but I also started reading The God of Lost Words, which is the 3rd book in the Library of the Unwritten series.
Ooh.
And it started very excitingly. But it's also, there's no audiobook for it. So I'm reading the physical copy, so I'm reading it very slowly. But it's good.
Nice. I finished 3 audiobooks since we last recorded. Oops.
Wow.
I would listen to Love at First Spite by Anna Collins, The Sixth Extinction and an Unnatural History by Elizabeth Colbert, and Siren Queen by Nevo. I hope I said that right. Which were all pretty entertaining. They were good. And then I'm currently reading Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, which is a wild time, and Gilded by Marissa Meyer. So, yeah.
Well, I am currently reading Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yeah, it's pretty good so far. She's like a famous person, which is exactly what I came here for.
I love that. I'm so here for it.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
And then I'm listening to Jade War by Fonda Lee, which is book 2 in the Greenbone saga, the first of which we read for Midlight Book Club a few months ago. Anyway, if you liked this chapter of Midlight Crisis, consider rating and reviewing us on Spotify or your podcatcher of choice. You can talk to us and find fun-related content on social media. We are at Midlight Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and all chapters of the show thus far are available on our website, midlightpod.podbean.com, and on YouTube.
And from Saphira for everyone during every election cycle. We must trust these people, though not to the point of foolishness.
Oh. That's rough.
It's too real.